The Bombers are red hot, looking for a third straight win and a fourth straight win at home, as there will be over 30,000 at the Madhouse on Matheson Friday night, with Bo Levi Mitchell and a beat-up, new-look Hamilton Tiger Cats team in town, and Winnipeg ramping up their level of play right when they need it most, when the West Division is wide open and seemingly up for the taking. Don't want to look too far ahead. We have got the Labor Day Classic and the Banjo Bowl right around the corner. You know we got you covered here on GameDay Winnipeg on Bonfire Sports for that. The defense has been incredible, but can the offense be better? Love to get the opinion of the man you came to see, Chris Walby, joining us as he always does on your Blue Bombers pregame show. Big Bluto, how you feeling coming out of another decisive win for the Bombers over the BC Lions, this time in Vancouver?
Yeah, that's what I kind of got. I think I got caught up in the hype too, the Nathan Rourke hype. I guess when you really look back at it, you think, I thought, he'd played a couple of quarters in the NFL with various teams down there. I thought he was going to respond a little better. I thought it was very just humble of him to apologize for his play. But really, when you think about a guy that hasn't played in the Canadian Football League for a couple of years, you can't get too hard on the guy. But I think I was really impressed with the fact, first off, the 25-0 shutout in Winnipeg was a complete and utter domination. But the one in BC, I did not expect to go that way. I really thought BC was going to come back. They're going to look for some, retribution, play a little tougher. But the Bomber, as you say, the defense, the offense made plays when it had to. Zach Collaros, I think, is coming back to the status that we normally look at in Zach Collaros. And they won a game there, and now they're on a game win streak at home. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying in a row, 3 at home though, but they're going against, as you say, a Ticat team that I don't even know what is going to show up here. With all the changes they've got, and of course the big one that everybody's talking about is the hiring of Chris Jones as defensive coordinator, or as they call him, a special assistant to the defense, and the release of Washington as the former defensive coordinator. But they had to make change. This is a team that's
worst
really
defense in the league.
Yeah, you know what? Their offense isn't that bad. Their defense has got lots of holes, and they've changed some guys in there. They've got new quarterback playing the corner.
But that said, Chris, Bo Levi Mitchell was benched last week. Taylor Powell, or benched 2 weeks ago. Taylor Powell got the start last week, was injured in a really scary play. He and Luther Hukanavanu, the Canadian wide receiver, both were put into hospital. They were discharged later that day. They're okay, but neither will play in this game. It's not like Bo Levi Mitchell has been a world beater. He has been good, but that level of play that he has had while starting hot has definitely tapered off. And now he's got to face maybe not the best defense in the league by the numbers, that is the Montreal Alouettes, but I would say the hottest defense, the most dangerous defense in the CFL in Winnipeg. What are you seeing in Jordan Younger's group right now?
I think they're doing so many different blitzes. They got zero coverage. They've got, halfback blitzes. They've got mad dog blitzes with their linebackers. They create a lot of things, and he does a lot of different things that an offense has to be prepared for. So I think the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to have their work cut out for you. But I will say this, to your former point, or your point you just made earlier about Bo Levi Mitchell getting pulled in, I believe it was 4 plays in. He first pass he throws, the guy catches it and fumbles it, not Bo. That's not his fault. The interception was bad. But I think they were just looking for something. Scott Milanovic, the head coach, just said, I need to get somebody in there. Mm-hmm. I need to shake this team up, spark this team somehow. And so they put Powell in. Powell, as you say, is hurt now. So Bo comes back. He leads the league in touchdowns, leads the league in yards passing. But again, he also leads in the other opposite effect, which is he's thrown 12 interceptions. So that's the thing they're trying to control. But it's when you look at the defense, I mean, they take so many stupid penalties. They extend offensive drives. I don't think their offense is that bad. I think they just have to play together. I mean, offensively, if you look at this team, offensively and defensively, they're number 9 and 8, the 2 worst as far as penalties taken. Undisciplined football is kicking and breaking the Ticats back.
No question. I mean, it's similar to how Winnipeg was playing earlier this year, where penalties and mistakes were really biting them. While Winnipeg has won 2 straight games, Chris, it wasn't long ago that, they lost 19-9 in Saskatchewan, not to look past this game, as I kind of mentioned off the top, but they do have to face the Saskatchewan Roughriders team in a couple weeks in the Labor Day Classic and the Banjo Bowl. But that was a 19-9 loss. And while the defense played well, couldn't it be argued right now that the Blue Bombers offense, led by Zach Collaros, and with a healthy Kenny Lawler and an emerging rookie in Ontario Wilson, and arguably the best running back in the CFL today in Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski and all these guys. Yeah, they got some injuries too. And we'll get into that in just a second and go through it all, including the latest on Adam Bighill. But the offense, couldn't it be argued, they're not doing nearly enough right now. They are the lowest scoring team in the CFL this season.
Yeah, they're lowest scoring, lowest passing. You look at those stats and you go, well, but then you watch how they've played the last 2 games. Yeah, when you're really struggling at the beginning of the year, it takes a while to get out of that stat where you're at the bottom. They're going to slowly climb back up. I think Zach in the last couple of weeks has played Zach Collaros football. I really do. I think the addition of Kenny Lawler is a huge thing. 5 catches last week. They've always had a great running back, as you say. I think their offensive line is playing a lot better. It'll be interesting to see what they get to. That's why I'm curious about this game, DB, is what is Chris Jones going to do? This guy is known. Listen, he was always known as a great defensive coordinator. I think when they gave him too much on his plate by, making him general manager, head coach, he had too many, you got too many baskets to fill. Yep. But I think if he can just concentrate on being a D coach, I think he's going to do wonderful things, I think, in Hamilton. But he's only been there 5 days, 4 practices. How much can you put in the playbook that's going to change the dynamic of this defense of the Ticats?
Speaking of that, let's take a look at the Blue Bombers depth chart going into this Week 12 matchup with the Ticats. Adam Bighill placed on the 6-game injured list today, which means 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚, the veteran Canadian, will start at middle linebacker. Jones, who has been pretty dang good this year, Chris, will start at weak side linebacker. As I scroll down it and just take a look at the Blue Bombers injured list right now. Okay. Yeah. Bighill to the 6. It doesn't mean he's going to spend the entirety of that time on the injured list. Could come back earlier, but it is a hamstring injury. There's Brian Cole, their other linebacker, who is filled in at weak side on the 6-game injured list. And Kyrie Wilson is in the middle of his stint on the 6-game injured list. So Winnipeg is pretty beat up right now in that linebacking core. So you have to wonder if this is going to start giving an area where opposing offenses can attack Winnipeg right in the middle of the defense, where you got some young and inexperienced players. And I'm not calling 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙚 either of those things, but he is not as fleet of foot as other linebackers in the CFL. Definitely not Adam Bighill.
Well, Adam Bighill is leading the team in tackles as well, right? I mean, he knows he's great. He's the quarterback of that defense. He knows where to go. He reads offensive schemes. He knows what's going on. Listen, I agree with you. 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙚, good football player, more of a special team guy. I mean, he comes in today's game or tomorrow's game with 3 tackles, a bit more on special teams. But you're right. Is he that? Can he be that guy to go sideline to sideline? Can he be that guy that makes that big impact hit? That's what we're going to see. Now they're really happy with Cramdy, and they like Tony Jones. Tony Jones is coming on at that other side linebacker, the weak side. But you're missing your general, your leader. It's like Zach on offense. That's what Adam Bighill is to the defense.
Now, you mentioned Reddick Cramdy as one of those defensive backs, that hybrid dime back spot, the strong side linebacker who's been very good. Griffin as a rookie has been pretty dang good too. But while not a rookie, a first-year starter and Canadian, Tyrell Ford, has been off the charts, Chris.
Yeah,
Ranked the Pro Football Focus top performing defensive back this past week. He and Evan Holm have really locked down this strong side, wide side of the field. Terrell Bonds, Dietrich Nichols. I don't know if you want to test those guys either. It's this Blue Bombers pass defense that has impressed me the most. And the reason I think Celestin Haba and Taiwan Garbett and Jake Thomas and maybe most notably Willie Jefferson have been able to get to the quarterback during this incredible 3-game streak for the Blue Bombers defense is because of what they call coverage sacks. They're finding ways to lock down the coverage downfield, which gives those defensive linemen just another second or two to get going, get home.
They're taking away the little escape valves. That's the other thing they're doing. A lot of teams you're seeing more and more every week, every team, they can't get something downfield. They got to get rid of the ball quicker. They look at their escape hatch or their release, and that's usually the running back. Brady Oliveira has come into the game. He's got 36 catches. His career high is 38. And we're just halfway through the season. So, I mean, I expect him to be another popular, recipient of Zach's passes and to get him out of trouble. Now, the O-line, I think when you look at that O-line, they're going to have their work cut out. They're not huge names on the Hamilton defensive line side. When you look at it, Nick Usher, I think, came here for a cup of coffee. I believe he was here. You got Dwayne Hendricks. They got him from Toronto. Casey Sales, we know he's a good football player. He played with the Bombers.
Player, yeah.
And then you got Barlow. You got Brandon Barlow on the other side. And there's David Menard behind him. So they have guys. But when I look at them, I just don't get that chill like a Willie Jefferson brings or a Taiwan Garbett as he's going to start getting better and better with each game he plays. But again, we haven't seen much of Hamilton, right?
No.
They're 2-7. They're not a very good team at this time.
They're 2-8.
2-8. Okay, there you go. Even worse than I thought.
Lost 3 straight games now.
Yeah, and you know what? They've got to get better. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Milanovic is probably on the hot seat,
which is crazy because he was kind of the popular guy this offseason in getting that head coaching job.
Well, and exactly, and he's a quarterback guru, right? So and Bo's not happy. Bo, he took that demotion or when he got sat after about 4 series or 4 plays a couple games ago. He said, he made a joke about now he's going to have to get a job selling lemonade with his daughter, for money. But I mean, he was upbeat about it. Now Bo knows he's in the twilight right now, right? Bo's played a lot of years. He's still one of the, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. But Bo can still beat you. He's had great games against the Bombers. So, they've got some receivers, Tim White. They really like this Shamar Bridges, the wide receiver. 25 catches, DB, in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
He's just going to town. And then, the other thing is I had to look because I always want to see the matchups. So you got Dunbar Jr. on the other side, 6'3". You got Shamar Bridges, 6'4". They got Desmond Patman, 6'4". You got Brandon O'Leary Orange, 6'2". They got some tall receivers. And, if you got guys that can go up and get the ball, climb that ladder, if you would, that may give the smaller or shorter DBs some issues.
Yeah. Well, no question about that. But this Bombers defense, in particular the pass defense, has been so good right now. I definitely give them the advantage. Of course, we'll see what happens Friday night. Looking at the Ticats injured list, their bell cow running back James Butler on the 1-game injured list, as well as one of their top defenders, Carthel Flowers Lloyd, one of their defensive backs, hybrid dime backers as well. And then on the 6-game injured list, Taylor Powell. So it's going to be Bo Levi's team for the foreseeable future. Yes. Joel Figueroa, I know you're a big fan of his, Chris, veteran offensive lineman, outstanding player. Enoch Maconzo, a very talented Canadian and special teamer. And then Luther Kanavanu, who had that really scary injury last week. Dayton Black, if you remember him, drafted this past year, 2 years ago, Brandon, Manitoba native. Brandon Black.
I didn't. You know what? It's interesting you say that. I wonder if I went to school with a number of the Black family. children. So it'll be interesting to see what he is. But yeah, you're right. I think they're going to miss the receiver more than anyone. I like the receiver, 𝘎𝙥𝙤𝙧𝙯𝙚. If I say his name wrong, I apologize and hope he's doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got some guys. They got this guy they've signed, and he's playing his first game out of San Diego State, Jordan Bird. He's going to be doing the return game for the Ticats as well.
Yeah.
So they're still doing a lot of experimenting after this many games, going into the 12th game, trying to find that return guy that can, possibly break one or give them better field position to start with. It's interesting to look at this lineup and the changes they've made. They got, like I say, they've got Will Sutherland playing on the strong side corner. If you go on the defense there, DB, and then he's a first-year guy. And then you got 𝘎𝙤𝙣𝙛𝙞𝙧𝙚. And he's a first-year. He's also there. So you got two rookies, basically, starting in that wide side or strong side corner. So that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, they do have good talent in Peters. Jamal Peters, who they took up from Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, you give me a head of shake, Walby. Maple Leafs.
You got hockey on the brain after that big Winnipeg Jets trade today.
You know what? It's interesting you say that too, but I was actually with my grandkids and my son, and they are Leaf bananas. So all those golf clubs are Leaf embossed, bros, whatever that word is. It's just crazy. So I've actually got the Leaf on my brain right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he came from the Argos, and he's a shutdown corner on that weak side. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Bombers go after him. I think when I look at the Bombers receiving crew, I just go, my God. If we can get something more, DB, out of Josh Johnson and Kevin Claricius, we'll be dangerous. Because the other receivers, Kenny Wilson and Dembski are just freaks. And then you throw Oliveira in there, who's making a lot of catches.
But my concern, Chris, is that the Blue Bombers have scored 208 points in 10 games this season. These are their scoring totals this year, okay? And albeit they did have a very, very slow start with the offensive line and with the play of Zach Collaros. But week 1, 12 points. Week 2, 19. Then they put up 24. Then 19. Then they captured a 25-16 win over the Ottawa Redblacks. They then scored 37 against the Calgary Stampeders, and I believe some of those points were from the defense. They put up 9 points in week 7 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 14 points the next week in Toronto in overtime. Left a ton of points on the board in that game. If you remember, the time clock at the end of the first half really bit them. Sergio Castillo had a tough game. They scored 25 points against the BC Lions at home in that 25-0 win, and then 20 points against the Lions last week. And while they have won 2 straight games, and they've won 4 of their past 6, they are 4-6 on the season, but they've won 4 of their past 6 games. Winnipeg's offense is not scoring at a rate that is anywhere near the median of the Canadian Football League. And when will that happen? It's got to happen soon.
It's going to happen. I can't rely on Sergio 60-yard field goals, even though that is remarkable to watch. A guy has 7 of 9 over 50 yards.
But that should supplement a couple touchdowns from the offensive game.
That also gives you points that normally other teams wouldn't even try. You don't see a lot of teams lining up to try a 60-yarder. So compliments to Sergio. But, those add points to the Bombers. The Bombers need more touchdowns. That's the thing they really need. They've only scored 15 touchdowns. I believe that's last in the CFL as well. I know they're number 9 in passing. They don't have enough passing. Or number 8. They've had 11. But the thing is, it pops out only 8 passing touchdowns, right? Mm-hmm. That's the thing. With the weapons,
Brady doesn't have many touchdowns either. It's Chris Streveler kind of hawking them all at the goal line.
Yeah, 7 touchdowns for Chris. Yeah, and he's a big part. But we're even seeing people and defense is starting to figure out Chris now. He was stopped on his short yardage last game as well.
Well, he tripped over Stanley Bryant's legs, right?
Well, it doesn't matter. He stopped.
He was stopped. But what I'm saying is,
I don't think
it's defenses of a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago he got stuffed.
he got stopped, and they figured him out, right?
I agree. I'll give you that one for the fact that he tripped over his lineman's legs.
But he was perfect prior to that, and he has missed one since short yardage pickup, and that was in Vancouver when he tripped over Stanley Bryant's legs. So a little miscommunication, unforced error, I'll call it.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I will agree with you on that. I mean, he's a beast to bring down. He's a big target. You know, he's very physical, and I love what he does to the team because whether he runs for 1 or 10, he gets up, he's jacked, he jumps around the field, and the whole team picks up on that energy. Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing, right? I mean, it's contagious when you see a guy like that. You love to go to battle with those kind of guys. You know, I don't want a guy coming off yawning, you know, putting his helmet down, grab a hat, sit down. Sure. I want a guy that's going to be a walking. And you see him watch. I'm going to tell all the people, if you're going to watch the game, he paces. He's back and forth on that sideline. He's always moving around. He's like a wild horse that has yet to be tamed. There you go, right?
Yeah.
So the only one that'll tame him is his future wife. She'll calm him down. Calm him down. So let him run wild for a while, and then she'll break him.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that actually. That's pretty good. Before we I really want to get your perspective, Chris, on, you know, as we're the Bombers are 10 games into their schedule, and we're at the midway point of the CFL season. It's crazy to think that next week I'll be in Regina for Labor Day. You and I will be doing a show on the Saturday. We'll probably do it a little bit later, but we'll figure all that out as I'm on the 1930 crew bus headed out there. If you're still interested, there's still a spot or two on the 1930 crew bus. So give them an email, the1930crew@gmail.com. You can find them on social media and link up as well. The 1930 crew.
You guys whoever goes is going to have a great time. That'll be a great time for you guys. I mean, you guys are doing the VIP basically. It is very impressive, the package you guys are putting together. And I tell you what, anybody goes on that will not be disappointed and have a lot of memories to take when you bring back. So, especially when you come back with a big victory, that'll be even better. We had lots of popping of the cold ones on the way back, celebrating the win again. So,
no, it's pretty much an all-inclusive. And to be on the bus with myself and Schnitzy and Hustler and Carter Chen and Jeffrey Bannon and Tara Maslowski and the whole crew, Pat Rathwell, and just all of these amazing fans, it's going to be so much fun. So be sure to check them out. But while that's just around the corner, it's crazy to think that. I do want to get into our mid-season awards: most outstanding player, defensive player, Canadian offensive lineman, rookie, special teams player, and get your perspective, Chris. But before we do that, I have to mention this time of year, you know, the days are waning away. How about you go hit up this place? Scotswood Links is 18 holes of well-developed golf goodness. Just look at this place. It's incredible. They're just 30 minutes outside of Winnipeg. Courses has been in great shape all year long. I mean, I can kind of flip through all of these beautiful shots of Scotswood Links. If you haven't played it, just 30 minutes outside the city. Beautiful new clubhouse, restaurant, and lounge. Like, check this out. You want a nice clubhouse? They've got a beautiful clubhouse. And everything you need with the perfect patios for kicking back. Bring the family. You'll have a great time. And if you're having an event, they have got impressive banquet facilities for weddings, corporate events, celebratory functions, and so much more. Be sure to check them out online, scotswoodlinks.com. That's Scotswood with one T. scotswoodlinks.com, and they will take amazing care of you. Like, just look at this place, Chris. Awesome golf course. If you haven't been out there, you got to check it out.
Yeah, you know what? And I went golfing yesterday with my grandkids, and I must say that I'm definitely as bad a golfer as I thought I was. I'm just, you know what? This is one thing I love about golf, DB, is you'll hit 3 great shots, and then you tee up the next time, and you're topping the ball, or it's going in the bush. Right. And you're like, what the heck is going on, man? What did I change? And you can't blame anybody but yourself. But I tell you what a great time to build relationships on a golf course. Yeah. So I agree with you 100%, buddy. Take advantage of that course. Get out there, play with your buddies, have some fun. The nights are starting to get a little shorter, so or you know, the days are getting shorter. Sorry, one or the other. You can tell I still got cabin brain right now. I just got back this morning.
Well, nobody will ever blame you for cabin brain, Chris. Never.
Oh, it was a great time. I tell you what, we've had great weather,
Gorgeous
and I know
weather.
we had a little rain, and now we're going to have what? The game tomorrow, hot. Saturday, 29 again. So, yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be a great crowd in Winnipeg to watch the Ticats get beat down. And I mean it. I think Bombers could really explode on this one. Hate to say it, but all my signs are pointing to finally the Bombers coming alive on defense and on offense, and making some points. And I believe defense will take away the ball probably 3 times.
Ooh,
that's
just,
like it. And that's not even a key. That's just kind of my intuition right now.
Yeah, your keys to the game are still coming in a second, as well as a little bit more on the Blue Bombers' path ahead in the West Division. We'll take a look at the standings and talk about their upcoming schedule and what they have. But mid-season award time, Chris, we'll leave most outstanding player to the end. We got special teams, rookie, O-lineman, Canadian, defensive player, and most outstanding player. Let's start with special teams. I think this is an absolute no-brainer. One candidate, and he's going to come home with it.
You're talking about Sergio Castillo, I would hope.
See?
I mean, some of these are going to be a little easier to pick. I think he's had such an incredible year. Yeah, he's 30 of 37. He's only 81% or 82%. But the fact is his length on his legs and the strength of his leg and the ability to come in a clutch situation and be able to kick a 60 or 61-yard field goal to win a game and maybe a championship. So that's one of the things you always have to have as a good kicker, somebody you can rely on when you really need them. And I think they have that in Sergio. I think the other guys you might look at are, guys like Tanner Caldwell. He's got lots of special teams tackles. That's the other thing you look at is the guys that go downfield and cover. They don't get a lot of, coverage. They don't get a lot of love, but they're very important in cover teams, right? And so sometimes you got to throw the love at these guys as well,
Mike
right?
Miller's of old.
Yeah, Mike Miller's of old. Well, he's a GOAT, greatest of all time, and they call him the GOAT. Shane Gauthier, who's a heck of a special team player. Yeah. I remember in one of the playoff games, he chased that guy down and prevented a touchdown in the finals. So he can do it. Yeah. So I mean, he's another guy getting an opportunity, and you love when a guy can come in and fill the shoes or try to fill the shoes of an Adam Bighill. But yeah, I think you're right. And then Tyrell Ford's not considered a rookie, is he?
No, played in 2022. Yeah, played 12 games in 2022. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I would look at him. Tyrell Bonds is a rookie. I mean, if you go through this and you're looking at some guys, I mean, I don't see anybody else that's really jumped. It's not going to be, Claricius or Johnson or, any of the other guys.
No, it's Ontario Wilson.
That's the rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I think right now he's.
I stole it right from you, Chris. Just like you moved on to most outstanding rookie.
Segue, maybe you segued right into that, man. You merged.
You're hosting the show. You're hosting the show now, Chris. We got that beautiful picture of you up on the thumbnail. We got it's GameDay Winnipeg with Chris Walby on Bonfire Sports. I'll take another bye week, please and thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. We'll see you next time.
What is it? Speaking of that, what is the next bye week?
Their next bye week is week 15. So after the Banjo Bowl.
Oh, so it's 2 games, another bye week.
With 3 games.
Perfect.
Yeah. They had a bye week 10. Yeah, bye week 10 with the BC Lions on either side of that first bye week. Hamilton, Friday night, at Regina for the Labor Day Classic, home for the Banjo Bowl on September 7th, then the bye week. Banjo Bowl on a Saturday, by the way, folks. 3 p.m. I think it's now a 2 o'clock kickoff. 2 o'clock kickoff.
I love they did that. It should always, all these games like this should be on a Saturday. I still wish, and I know I'm looking ahead of myself, but I still wish they put the Grey Cup on a Saturday. I think that the Sunday always drives me nuts because it's always Sunday evening.
NFL.
And people, you got NFL. But you can't play a scaredy cat to other leagues.
No.
And I know
what I'm most pumped about, Chris.
Saturday is college football, right?
Go ahead. You got college football. I don't know if that's going to be much of a competition to like the CFL as much as the NFL is. But CTV finally carrying the Grey Cup on the main network. Channel 5 on your Farmer Vision, the rabbit ears out at the lake or whatever you got. Thank goodness they finally straightened that out and getting it on, TSN and Bell Media's main network. Kudos to them for that.
And they'll just bring over the crew that they have, TSN crew, and just bring it over and just work on CTV. The same network, right? Same organization.
Yeah.
I still think they should hire an O-lineman, but maybe next year they'll get smart and hire an O-lineman. But we'll see.
I'm glad you mentioned O-lineman, because that segues into our next mid-season award, most outstanding offensive lineman. In my opinion, Chris, this is the most difficult one to pick.
When we talked about this pre-show, I started thinking about this, and I'm really having a hard time. Normally it would be an easy one. I'd go, hey, Stanley. It's got to be Stanley. But Stanley has not had a Stanley Bryant type year, because the offense hasn't a Stanley type year. You know what I mean? The offense is firing on all cylinders. The old linemen get a lot of credit. When they're not firing on all cylinders, the old line take a little bit more heat. I don't know if it's Stanley's. I'm kind of leaning toward Kolinkowski, but he's had some tough games too.
Well, I'll say this. It's not Kolinkowski for me. It's not Pat Neufeld, who normally is here. He's on the 6-game injury list. It's not Eric Lofton, and it's not 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 or Liam Dobson either. To me, it has to be Stanley Bryant. He has been available. He has been consistent. And while he may not be the Stanley Bryant of old, I don't want that. I don't want that to marginalize his level of play. When you have that bar set so high, like Stanley Bryant has over pretty much his entire CFL career.
Yeah. Well, he
might not be the same Stanley Bryant of old, but he's still really dang good. He's my most outstanding guy.
Okay, well, I'll second that as well, because when you look at it and all the arguments you just presented and the arguments I presented to myself in my head, I kind of said, Stanley, at least he's the best of that group, and he's definitely I never see the guy hurt. I mean, he can come off, he's got a sprained ankle, he just tapes and goes back. He's that mentality of that old lineman I used to love. But he's very consistent. He's at the backside. He has to protect the backside of a quarterback. Most valuable. I mean, that's one of the toughest things to do, to protect the quarterback, because he's rolling to his right and he can't see what's coming from behind. So, I'd have to lean on that one too. So, I'll give Stanley the nod as well.
Okay, moving on to most outstanding Canadian, keeping in mind that defensive player and most outstanding player still to come. Most outstanding Canadian, I think there's two legit nominees this season. Maybe not Nick Dembski, but only because of the level of play of Brady Oliveira and Tyrell Ford, who is up there with the top corners in the CFL today. This is a huge top. This might be even tougher than O-line to pick.
Yeah, I think that right now, because of our next pick on the most outstanding, I think Tyrell will have maybe an inside. Do I see Brady going back-to-back on both? I don't know. It depends on how the season unfolds. But I agree with you. Tyrell Ford has been a force on that cornerback position. 4 interceptions, 28 tackles. He's not afraid to get his nose dirty. Comes up, makes the hits, makes the plays he has to. So I like him. Brady Oliveira is just so consistent. Sometimes you're thinking, are we still talking about him? And we have to, because you got to talk about the guy, because he just keeps doing it. He's got 700 yards rushing, but now he's almost breaking his career mark for receptions. When you watch that guy run, he is tough as nails, man. He's very, very rare though. I see the first guy take him down. It's hard to believe this is a guy who sat an entire year behind the legend, number 33, and who would that be? Andrew Harris.
Yeah.
So this guy learned from the best. I saw today they're saying, it was an article about Brady about, Canadian players can play. I hate that when they say that. I really do. Because I tell you what, if you had
there's a stigma out there, Chris. There's a stigma out there.
I've dealt with that in the NFL when I went for my cup of tea. You deal with it all the time. But having said that, I remember we had guys like Willie. Think about Willie Reeves, American. You think about Willie Miller, American. Michael Richardson, American, right? And then you get a guy that comes in and is just taking the league by storm the last number of years in Brady O, who I love for more than just football. I've always said this. I wax poetic about him. I love for what he does off the field with, rescue dogs. I love that. The guy's got a heart of gold, and that's why you can't help but just cheer for the guy every time he does something. So, yeah, it's funny. We talk Tyrell Ford over here. Then you go to Brady, and you start talking to Brady, and you start loving Brady again. But I like your point with Tyrell. Tougher to go against. DBs don't get the same recognition. The reason he's getting recognition is because he's shutting down some receivers, and he's coming up with picks. If Brady didn't have stats, you wouldn't look at him.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a tough thing, right? You start becoming a stat-driven award. But anyway, those are our two candidates, I believe, too.
So who are
And
you
that's
giving
not
yours to, Chris?
probably. I'm going to give it to. Well, I'm going to give it to Brady. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
think Brady's a top Canadian again.
So it's interesting how you mention the, uh, Canadian players can play too.
Yep.
Because we've seen that at safety, at middle linebacker, at defensive tackle. We've seen it at defensive end a little bit more in years gone by. Seeing Matthew Betts put up a sack in the first preseason game as a member of the
Nice
Detroit
move.
Lions. That's a great thing. We've obviously seen tons of great Canadians play on the offensive line. We've seen a handful of receivers. Haven't seen many quarterbacks, but we're starting to. Haven't seen many cornerbacks, but we're starting to. And then obviously running back is one that has been, exclamated by John Cornish, Andrew Harris, now Brady Oliveira, Jerome Messam, Normie Kwong, of obviously decades gone by, Hall of Famer, a handful of others. But Canadians are starting to show that they can play every position on the field. And I think that's in conjunction with trying to beat down that stigma and erase that ridiculous stigma that American players are purely better than Canadian players no matter what. Yeah. Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford and Brandon Bridge and Andrew Buckley, and we're going to see more in the future. I have no doubt about that. But to see Tyrell Ford play to the level he has at corner, to me, is outstanding. So I'm giving my midseason most outstanding Canadian to Tyrell Ford, which moves on to most outstanding defensive player, Chris. And
another tough one.
Another tough one. There's Evan Holm. There's Dietrich Nichols, Tyrell Ford himself. There's, the level of play that Adam Bighill has been at. Maybe not every single game, but he's been dang good. Reda Cramdy, speaking of Canadians playing every position, the dime back spot. I don't know if there's been many Canadians playing the dime until this year. We got Patrice Rene in BC, Cramdy here in Winnipeg, Willie Jefferson, Jake Thomas. Who's your most outstanding defensive player?
That's a tough one, but it's funny when you mentioned Reda Cramdy. I kind of overlooked him for Canadian.
Yeah,
and yet he's had a solid year.
University of Montreal.
Apologies to Cramdy because he should definitely be in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure we put that in there because it's interesting you brought that up, and it kind of shook me a little bit. I went, yeah, no kidding, I forgot about him. But then I'm looking at the defense. I'm going, okay, you got Willie, you got Adam, you got Dietrich. I see Dietrich doesn't get a lot of love again, but I think Dietrich,
he does on this program.
Well, he does because, we both know that he is a shutdown halfback, one of the hardest positions to play in the CFL, especially with the movement before the snap of the ball where they can run at you. You can't jam them after 5 yards. Mm-hmm. It's such a difficult position to play, and he does it so well. He's just super consistent. I said on our last show last week that Coach O'Shea said, doesn't matter who he puts by Dietrich, they're going to play well. Yeah. He's that kind of guy, and he's got Tyrell Bonds.
You can put a rookie next to him. Well. It's going to be a lockdown side of the field. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I look at him and maybe this is the year he gets it. I don't think that Big Hill's going to get it. Now he's in the 6th game. So he's hurt. I think that might.
Second time he's been on the 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that might hit. Willie's coming into his own again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, I'm pretty much going either Willie or Nichols and I might because they got to shut down. Well, think about this. They're number 1 in pass defense. Now, it's a combination of the rush and the coverage.
Yep.
But having said that, I think I might show a little love to him. So I think that I'm going to go with I think I might give Dietrich a little
I like that.
Check mark.
I like that. The reason I like that is because I agree with you. And, Dietrich Nichols doesn't get a lot of shine. He does on this program. He does on Bonfire because I really try to highlight the individuals and the areas of this game that people aren't talking about. Like I was pumping Mike Miller well before he was named a special teams player of the year. And yeah, his tackles were up there, that sort of thing, but he wasn't getting enough true recognition of his level of play. Same with Brady Oliveira when, prior to his breakout, trying to let people know, like, it'll take a little time, but he will come into his own, and obviously has come into his own. But I do want to mention, I'm going to find it here. Somebody on Twitter mentioned to me a number that was absolutely incredible, and that was the one game. Yeah, it was Ryan Harris. Shout out to Ryan, by the way. Great tweet here. In 9 games Dietrich has played this year, the Bombers D has allowed an average of 203 passing yards. That's why they're first in the league. The one game that Dietrich Nichols missed, the first of his CFL career, by the way, they allowed 398 passing yards in that game. So you take out Dietrich Nichols, and yeah, it's a one-off game. I get that. But everything kind of collapsed because I think he is a true linchpin in the truest sense of that metaphor. You pull that linchpin out, everything's going to fall off. He is such a lockdown piece that everything kind of pivots off of him. Dietrich Nichols is my most outstanding defensive player this year for the Blue Bombers. He's also my most outstanding player at the midseason point.
Wow. And I guess we should throw a little love at the other halfback too, at Evan Holm, who's he's also played very well, but I don't think he's in that stratosphere that Nichols has right now. Your most outstanding player is, wow. You know what? Because I think that most outstanding player, again, I believe, and I'm looking at it right now, and it depends on where we go for now. We're only 12 games in, or 4 to 10 games in. It'll be interesting to see what Ontario Wilson continues to do.
Yeah,
Brady will be a candidate, and I would go again with Nichols, but Brady is just doing it again, and I mean, like I said, we talk about him a lot, but I like Nichols too. Most outstanding player usually goes to an offensive player. It'll be interesting to see. They do. Yeah, it does. No, it shouldn't have to be. It shouldn't be locked in there.
So there should be a most outstanding offensive player like there is a most outstanding defensive player.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But, that's the player that's most outstanding to his team. It used to be MVP, which is the most valuable player to his team.
Yeah.
The most outstanding player is supposed to be the same thing, representing his team. Who got you there? Kolaris, if he's a future for first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's not having that type of year, especially with only 5 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
Yeah, not yet. So, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like your
Get
picks.
off the fence, Walby. Who you got?
Well, oh boy, I tell you.
I knew for everyone watching out there, I threw this at Chris kind of last minute. I was like, hey, let's do our midseason awards. So this is a tough one.
Yeah. And I think that I'm still probably going to go with Brady.
Okay.
I just think if that's that's just the way it is. But again, it's so hard. And that's midseason. You're right.
Yeah.
So that's not, in front of me in my logic. Sometimes I look ahead and I say, what if he does? What if happens? I mean, I got to get hurt tomorrow, right? But you're right.
The optimist.
It's the midpoint. And so the midpoint, I'm going to go with Brady.
Okay. So you and I agree. Sergio Castillo, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers midseason most outstanding special teams player. Ontario Wilson for most outstanding rookie. Stanley Bryant on the offensive line. You and I are split on most outstanding Canadian. You have given it to Brady Oliveira. He's also your most outstanding player. I'm giving it to Tyrell Ford for most outstanding Canadian. You and I agree. Dietrich Nichols for most outstanding defensive player. And unlike you picking Oliveira for your most outstanding player for the Bombers at the midway point, I've got Dietrich Nichols. So would love to see everybody in the live chat to give us your votes for those 6 player awards this season. Chris, at this point, the midseason, they always say the regular season really begins. The real season begins after Labor Day. Let's take a look at the CFL standings as we enter week 12, the 21-week season. And there's the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are 1-4-1 in their previous 6 games, 5-4-1 on the season, and just 3 points up on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The BC Lions have now lost 4 straight games to be at 5-5. And unsure about their quarterbacking situation. I have no doubt. I'm with you, Chris, like you said earlier. No doubt Nathan Rourke will get better. He was in a tough situation to be thrown into the fire like that. Not to make excuses for him, but it was also BC's best option. Yeah. Going with Jake Dolegala or Nathan Rourke, a cold Nathan Rourke. I'll take Nathan Rourke any day, but a game for him to forget. The Bombers and the Stampeders, who they hold the tiebreaker against this season, sitting at 4-6. The Edmonton Elks, 3 straight wins, have them at 3-7. This West Division, Chris, wide open.
Yeah, and you know what? I like what happened. I mean, obviously the quarterback, Trey Ford for Edmonton, and for some reason, Chris Jones didn't want to put him in the lineup. And he stayed with McLeod Bethel Thompson, and all he's done is win.
And here's a home and home with Edmonton following that second bye, September 21st and 27th.
You got to watch that kid. This kid is and he's another Canadian and a heck of a football player. And he extends plays with his legs. He's smart. He's not turning the ball over. They're, like I said, they're 3-7. It wasn't long ago. They were like, 0 and something. They hadn't won a game. So, I mean, it just tells you if some guy gets a chance and he takes it and runs away with it. And that's what I think Ford is doing to Edmonton. BC, I think they're going to start swapping. I think you're going to see Nathan in there, and I think you're going to see Adams Jr. in there. I think you got to keep them both happy somehow. And if there's any bit of a struggle, it'll just come off play, take a look at it, and we'll put you back in if we have to, or if the other guy starts generating stuff.
Their defense has not been good.
No. I think they're – and you know what? It's funny. They signed that Chris Covington kid, the son of the legendary – I played many years against him, Grover Covington. And, that was a big signing. He's had 8 years under his belt in the NFL, but he's really done nothing in the CFL. Mm-hmm. So I might be a little overhyped on that one. Then you look at the East, and boy, I tell you, look at that. Jason Moss has got Montreal just cooking. I mean, that kid, Davis Alexander, rookie, lighting it up. And now they got Cody. I get Fajardo's back this week.
That's right.
And then Drew Brown is back this week. He's practicing as well. So, and then you got the big story out east in Tirana. Who would that be, buddy?
Yeah, Chad Kelly will get the start on, what is it? Pardon me. Tonight, Thursday night, 5-4 Argos hosting the 5-4-1 Rough Riders. And, well, I know Chad Kelly, maybe not the easiest guy to cheer for right now, but Bombers fans probably hoping for an Argos win to have the Rough Riders really reeling going into the Labor Day Classic. Just over a week.
Weird you say that. I know we say that. I think Saskatchewan's a whole heck of a lot better than their record. I really do. I watched that game last week when Trevor Harris played. They make stupid mistakes.
They find ways to lose. Yeah, I'm not convinced on the Rough Riders at all.
You're right. Well, having said that, it's nice to see the command center saying they're going to stick their nose out of it all the time. They were getting way too involved, making calls they shouldn't have. And they cost Saskatchewan that one game where they sacked Dustin Crum. And they got a first down and kicked the tying field goal on anything. They should have took the ball, and they would have won the game. So I'm happy that the CFL Command Center, which we need, if we need, but we don't always need. So I would tell them, go back, make your margaritas, and then we'll call you when we need you. That's what This is what the CFL released today by media release, and I'll just read it quickly for you there. Command Center operations refocus on clear and obvious principle changes to come into effect for the second half of the season. The CFL will recalibrate Command Center operations and improve performance to ensure the clear and obvious principle is more consistently applied in the decision-making process. The clear and obvious principle is defined as having clear, unobstructed view of the action in question, and the correct outcome is obvious when compared to an established standard created by the Rules Committee and the CFL Officiating Department. So a couple points that, I'm not going to read through all of this, but a couple points that they did outline here. You can maybe pause your video and take a look at it. But I don't know, Chris, I'll be honest, a little part of me thinks this is just kind of, just how to put it. It's just soft words. They need to be better. I'm not going to give them. I gave them the benefit of the doubt for a long time, and I stopped giving them the benefit of the doubt about a week or two ago. And I think I was late to that party. But this is kind of just. This was a
soft
thing that had to happen. Coaching staffs behind the lines are phoning. They're saying, "What the hell is going on here, fellas? Wake up!" And if you looked at that thing when you brought up the things they were going to show, it had one line: to improve consistency. Because right there, the roster of replay officials was reduced to increased consistency. So they don't have 52 guys looking at one replay. You know what I mean? Smart. Don't make it harder.
And this final point, Very
Keep
important.
it simple.
Continue to focus on assisting on-field officials by providing integral support, assisting and support on the difficult aspects of the game to administer without the requirement to stop the game. So yes, Command Center can stop the game, but
it has to be something,
it has to be in support and in assistance of the on-field officials. I think that's a very important thing. Before we get too far down that road, Chris, and I do want to get to your keys to the game before we have to wrap up here. And you are headed to a very special event later today that we'll talk about in just a second. But looking ahead to the Bombers' schedule, 8 games remaining. They have the Hamilton Tiger Cats Friday night, home and home with the Rough Riders, Labor Day and Banjo Bowl. Their second of 3 byes this season in mid-September. Then a home and home with the Edmonton Elks. I'm curious to see who's at quarterback for the Elks in those games and their new ownership as well. Traveling to Hamilton to take on the Ticats. Home to the Argos. Will they be ramping up with Chad Kelly at quarterback if he's still the starting quarterback? A week 20 bye will be a welcome one for Winnipeg. And then facing the Montreal Alouettes, who are running away with not just the East, but the whole CFL, makes you wonder if this game is even going to mean anything for the Alouettes or if they're going to kind of maybe dress some of their number 2s. Of course, Cody Fajardo, Davis Alexander, however you take your poison, a very good quarterback will be at the helm in that game, barring any injuries. So with 8 games to go, am I right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 8 games to go, and the Bombers sitting at 4-6. Where can they finish in the West, Chris?
Well, I think, right now they're 4-6, and there's no doubt in my mind they could eat 9. I think they can win 9 games this year. So I think 5 of the next 8 they can win. That may be over, stating it, but I think they have the capabilities to do that. They have the talent. This team is talent loaded. They're going to get guys back from the injured list. I think that they just seem to be getting stronger and stronger week by week. And I like the direction they're going. And I like the fact that I'm seeing Zach and this offense starting to generate. I really thought the last 2 weeks against BC, they played well. So let's see if they can continue that again tomorrow night against the Ticats.
Why do you say they're only capable of 5 of 8 wins? Why not 6?
Because my glass is always half full, but I think you have to look at other teams too, right?
Well, I think
look, Edmonton's going to be fighting for their lives. Saskatchewan's going to be fighting for their lives.
But Nothing's they can win those games.
Yeah, but so could the other team. I mean, that's the thing. It's
sure.
It's the old hate that thing, hate that old
but
line.
You're going with 5 instead of. I think they can go 6-2. I think maybe splitting the series with the Rough Riders is a fair assessment, but possible they could win both. And then an Argonauts team at home late in the year with their number 1 quarterback, the reigning CFL MOP, by the way, could be a tough game. And then who knows what the Alouettes are going to be trying to fight off the Ottawa Red Blacks for first in the division in that final game. So I think I'm going to give them 6. I think Winnipeg is playing better. They need to score more points, but I guess I'm with you, but I'm still wondering why, to be an optimist, why not 6? Instead of 5,
because I just don't want to overstate it. Then I feel like if I say 6, I'm a homer.
You already are a homer.
I know, but I want to be realistic, and I just think that any team can win on any given day. And I like the way the league is getting stronger. Do I think they'll lose to Hamilton? I'd be very, very surprised. I'd be almost shocked if they lose to Hamilton.
I'd be shocked. Yeah,
because I think they have so many changes, plus a new defensive coordinator, new schemes. I don't think they've really excelled. Stopping the big plays they give up there. They take stupid penalties. All these other things, I just tick off these boxes and I go, the Bombers should win. I think they should win by, 14, 15 points tomorrow. But the other games, I got to go one by one. And the reason I don't like to look ahead is because I like to see what everybody does. Like tonight, Saskatchewan plays. I want to see what they do today. Trevor Harris back. I want to see what they do. Then I can make a more a fairer assessment where I'm just throwing numbers. I feel like I'm just throwing dice at the wall right now. Oh, we got 5, and you're throwing dice. Oh, we got 6.
Better than throwing spaghetti to see what sticks.
Oh, look at you! You're food. I got to eat something too today. I'm hungry, man.
You probably should. And That segues into our great supporter and sponsor, Pure Winnipeg. They are the city's premier proactive healthcare facility, advancing healthcare excellence. Whether you got strains, sprains, breaks, a deep cut, they've got you covered with their minimal wait time, minor injury walk-in clinic. They got on-site stitching as well, whether it's a job site injury or sports-related pain. Pure's new medical facilities have those in-house x-ray casting and stitches and get you back to enjoying summer in no time. Located in central Winnipeg, 1129 Empress Street, just north of Polo Park. You can book online at purewinnipeg.com or give them a call at 338-PURE. They've got you covered with physio, kinesiologists, occupational and medical health programs. Be sure to check them out once again, purewinnipeg.com, or give them a call at 204-338-PURE. The Bombers are heating up. The Ticats are a mess. Chris Walby, your keys to the game for Friday night as Winnipeg looks to win a third straight game and a fourth straight at home.
Show up. I just think offensively, continue to roll. But I do believe the Bombers need to get better on second down, which means they have to get better first down protection. And be prepared for anything, because I'm telling you, you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff coming at you now that Chris Jones is running the defense of the Ticats. On defense, listen, continue the dominance. One touchdown the last 2 weeks, and that was with 2 seconds left in the BC game. They're getting great pressure, but I think they got to get in Bo's grill, make him uncomfortable. He has been known to throw up the interception or 12, so we got to get it on him. And then I'm still looking for Lucky Whitehead on special teams to explode, but I'm more concerned. I still want the cover team, which I think are doing a fantastic job, Mike Miller, because now they're bringing in this new guy, and they've gone through like 5 or 6 returners the Ticats have. Now they got this little speedster named Jordan, fly like a bird. So we're going to see what he does. So I think the cover challenge got to meet that challenge as well.
Love it. Chris Walby's keys to the game. Always must watch programming prior to when the Bombers play. And as you guys all know how we do this, right? We are live every week, all through the season, all the way through the 111th Grey Cup in Vancouver. Chris joins me live the day before the game. And then, of course, following Friday's game, right back here on Bonfire Sports for myself and Zach Schnitzer. Schnitzy and I bring you Game Day After Dark and our live post-game show. We go live on all of our social media channels. You can follow us at Bonfire WPG. Find everything at bonfiresports.ca. And, of course, we live here on YouTube. But do us a favor. Like, subscribe, and tell a friend. All you got to do, grab that link, get into your share sheet or whatever it is, and I think they call it a share sheet on your phone or on your computer, and send the link to Bonfire Sports to a friend. That actually helps the algorithm and helps us continue to grow and bring you this programming ahead of every and after every Winnipeg Blue Bombers game. Last thoughts to you, Chris Walby. I guess we would be remiss if we didn't mention the very special event that you're going to this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm leaving her out there. We're having a special celebration of life for my teammate, my brother, my old roommate, and well-known CEO and president of not only the Bombers but Calgary Stampeders, Lyle Bauer, who tragically passed away about a month and a half ago. So we're having a celebration of life, and I know a lot of players are flying in, so it'll be good to reminisce, even though it's for a different feeling. It's sad to be where we're going, because I just saw Lyle a while ago, and we hugged, and he looked good. So, it's just one of those things that just tells you how important life is, and enjoy every day, man. Enjoy every day, and every day you wake up on the right side of the ground is a good day, my friend.
Amen. And tell the people that are important to you that you love them and you appreciate them, and have that gratitude. And on that note, Chris, I love and appreciate you, brother. Thank you for bringing what you bring every week here to Game Day Winnipeg. And should be a fun game Friday night with 30,000 plus, and it's 90s night at Princess Auto Stadium.
Oh yeah, enjoy it, people. Have a great time, and I expect the unexpected. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I tell you right now, I like Bo Levi. I love Zach Collaros. I love the Bombers, but I like a good game, and I think you're going to get a good game.
Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a fun second half if you're a Bombers fan.
Buttercup. All right, I got to go, man. It's time.